coming on the train, and Skimmerhorn, that's the stop, right? Just before Court Street, on the A train. I think it was the A train. To Ellington, right? The A train, right? do 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 do. Yeah. And the A train, baby, and they get on the train, and they in the summer, they wearing kufis and jalabiyas, man. That's the way they went. They came from court. I found out later they had a case with the FBI. Them brothers went away too, because they beat up the FBI trying to take a prisoner back. FBI was trying to arrest the brother. He know about that. He was on the scene then in Brooklyn. This in Brooklyn, New York. And they were African American brothers, all of them. And they said, well, they get in the train. I'm sitting. I ain't got no beard. I'm fresh out the military, so I ain't got no hair. I'm just growing a mustache. I'm just wearing regular clothes, no kufi, nothing. I had nothing, but I'm praying and I'm practicing by myself, best I could, and I jumped out of my seat when I seen them. I mean, it's like I was lit up. I said, damn, man, this is subhanAllah. I get up. Them brothers were standing up. There was no seats for them. They were standing up holding the pole, about 4 of them. And I gave them 4 salams. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So they knew that I must be, I wasn't lying. Like people say assalamu alaikum, they don't say it right, but I said the whole thing. And then they're looking at me kind of strange though, because they said, who is this cat? Like, who is this guy, right? So, and the way I look and everything, and then they look at me. So they said, well, we're going to the masjid. They said, we're going to make dua. So I said, you coming back, man? I'll be in the love. So I said, well, man, I was getting off the next stop. I had one more stop to get off and go to the draft board downtown Brooklyn, where the courts are. And it was on Court Street. That's what I call Court Street. The courts, all kind of courts down there. And so they were getting off the same stop, but they were catching a local to go back to Brooklyn to go to the masjid. So I said, the hell with the draft board. I'm going with them. In my mind, I said, now later, man. I said, I'm staying with these brothers, man. I stayed with the brothers in Ramadan, the 10th day of Ramadan. That was Ramadan, that, by the way, I forgot that. That was November the 1st that year was 1969. November the 1st was also the first day of Ramadan that year. So this was the 10th of Ramadan. The 10th of Ramadan, 1969, which was the 10th of November, 1969. That's 55 years ago. 55 years ago. Next month. It's October now. I got home in October. I got home in October in 69 when I got out. And it was only about maybe 3 weeks later when this happened. Almost a month. Not say a month, say like a month. And now it's Ramadan, my first Ramadan. I'm fasting. And don't know nobody yet until that time. And they're going back to the masjid. I said, I'll roll with them. I stayed with them. Went to the masjid it was a street called Sumter Street in Brooklyn, New York. And they had a masjid in a tenement, like it's a tenement for those who don't know Brooklyn, like this brother here. He don't know Brooklyn, right? So these are like tenements, And go upstairs, they had an apartment made into a masjid, It was one of the railroad apartments where you can go walk from room to room. You've been there, you was there. And I go upstairs, we make dua, we fasting, and I start meeting the brothers all day long. They're coming in, they're coming out, they're making salats, and then plus they fixing iftar, we making iftar. I ain't get out of there till midnight. I got in there for dua. I was like in heaven. I thought I was in heaven, man. I was sitting there in the mosque, the vibe was kicking. It's all African-American brothers. It's right in the hood there, in Brownsville, Bed-Stuy, right there on the border of Brownsville and Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, right? And all the brothers, they're coming in and they introducing themselves when we talking, and they teaching me stuff and giving me literature, giving me a musalla to pray on, giving me incense and incense and oils and books. And man, I walked out there 12 o'clock midnight. I was tripped. I thought I was high as a kite, man. Like I was smoked a pound of weed, man. It was just on the hock. There was no weed. It was hock. It was just the vibe. I was like, I couldn't believe it, man. I was so happy, you know. And my wife didn't know where the hell I was, man. She had no idea. I just disappeared all day, come back like after midnight. I don't even remember. I know she must have been ticked off, but I don't remember that part. So, and then I started meeting the brother. Like, I knew where that was. Now I know with them. They over there. They got the masjid there. You know, it's little by little. Now on the 20th day of Ramadan, 10 days later, I get on the same train to go back to trying to do what I couldn't. I hadn't been to the draft board yet to reclassify. I had to do that. That was their law, you know. And they couldn't put me back in the service and nothing like that. I was already in there. So I get off at court. I got one foot in the door to go to the draft board. And now I'm wearing a kufi on my head, right, from where the brothers gave me, right? And I told you about Shareef, right? He calls me from across the street. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. He sees my kufi, right? He said, I'm getting ready to walk in the door. I turn around, go across the street to return his greeting. We said he have a few words, and I told you what happened. He gave me like a copy of the Quran in English as a gift. Like I'm telling him like real quick, I'm doing a deen, I'm a new shahada, you know. That's something. I haven't been Muslim long, you know. And he said, well, I'm going to make dua. He said, the mosque. I said, where? The masjid was only a few blocks away. That was another masjid, which is now called Masjid Dawood, for those who don't know, named after Sheikh Dawood Ahmed Faisal, who came from Granada and established that masjid, right? It was named after him. And it's called Masjid Dawood to this day. It still functions. When did he start that masjid? In the 1930s, maybe?
Who started the masjid?
Yeah, maybe in the 30s. 1922? Wow. At that time in that area, the Muslims were all from Syria and Lebanon and most Egypt, some from Egypt. Right? And here come a black brother from Granada. And he must have had some money, man, because he bought that brownstone. He bought that brownstone. Of course, it wasn't what now it costs millions of dollars to get a brownstone in New York City. That's saying they cost millions of dollars, like $3-4 million. Well, he had enough during that time to buy that and convert it to a masjid, and became an Islamic center. And what did they officially call that during them days? There was a name that. Because it was they had a organization, you know, that was official for tax exempt, to be tax exempt with the government as a religious institution. What they call that, non-for-profit, you know. So they started that. So here I am. Again, I'm saying, well, the heck with the draft board. I'm gonna make salat with this brother. But he said, well, the mosque is just down the block, so I can, it's only a few blocks away, I go make salat, right? So I was telling Shamsuddin. Shamsuddin was there that very day in 1969 with a lot of brothers who later became very close to, including his father, Safwan's father and his father. Their father, Jamil, he was there. There was like 30, I'm telling the brothers, like 30, 40 brothers. That was the first day of Itikaf. there must have been 30, I'm just estimating. There was a lot of brothers making itikaf, man. He opens the door to go in, Qadi Saab, Qadi Saab Maqbool Ilahi, is coming down the stairs to lead the Salah. He was Hafiz, and he taught everybody how to read Arabic, Everybody from that era knows that he was the one that taught in some way, if not directly, or his students, it was him or his students who taught us how to read Arabic so we can read Quran in them days. He dedicated his life to that. He's one of the few foreigners in them days that didn't come to America to make a bundle of money, but came to America to do deen and to teach the reverts how to read the Quran in Arabic. He was Hafiz of Quran. And he's coming down the stairs to lead the Dhuhr prayer, right? And so Shareef's bringing me through there to go downstairs to make wudu. So I go to the wudu and everything. Well, remember when I said, I know this is only a few blocks away from the draft board, and they probably closed maybe 4:30 or something, 5 or something. Didn't get out of there till midnight. Stayed there all day, baby. I couldn't leave there. The vibe was too deep. Couldn't leave there. All them brothers in there making itikaf, and now they first meet me and greeting me, and we doing iftar, and hanging out. And same thing with that vibe, right? And then it just took off from there. I got to know where the brothers was. With those 2 masjids now, then I found out I can go study there twice a week. They had the classes on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and I attended the classes. That's how I met Asad Abdul Hamid, the prince. He was going to the class. But everybody that we all know, that these young brothers, Jamil's sons, they know them. They know them as just like friends of their father, just like me. All them cats. Most of them went back to Allah. Just about all of them. Very few left. Like yourself, like me. Brother like Umar. What's Umar's last name? Abdul Rahman. I don't know how many. Huh? Shaykh Hassan Abdul Hamid was there, yeah, and he's over 100 years old.
107.
Yeah, he's in Georgia. But he's in a nursing home now, right? He's in a home now, yeah. He was a World War II vet too. Luqman used to teach me. Luqman Abdul Alim was one of the teachers in that masjid to teach you how to read Quran. His teacher was the Hafiz. But when he was teaching, now he was one of his best students. So most of the time I took classes, it was with him. Come to find out that masjid, the unique thing about that masjid is that many jazz musicians during the bebop era, with Miles Davis and Thelonious Monk and John Coltrane, Dexter Gordon and all them cats. And I was a percussionist. And a lot of musicians took Shahada and went to that masjid. Ahmad Jamal went to that masjid, the piano player.